Welcome to part 2 of our Hands, Lines, and Cool Colors project. Today we're going to color our previously drawn hands. First of all, what I want to do is I want to go over some learning objectives for today, or learning targets. First learning target is I can accurately trace my hands and the details within my hands. Second learning target is I can neatly add color and details in my traced hands. Number 3 is I can identify warm and cool colors. And the last one is I can think about what I'm doing during the project and make changes if necessary. I want to talk a little bit about what you're going to need for the project right now. First of all, you're going to need something to color with, something to add color with. Could be crayons, could be colored pencils, which I used in my example, markers, or something else that you have that you can color with. You're also going to need something black to trace your lines with. Either a thin black marker, black colored pencil, or a black crayon. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the activity and the steps we're going to need to do today. Now, this first step all depends on what you have to trace with. Oh, and by the way, one other thing you're going to definitely need as far as supplies go is a ruler or some other instrument with a straight edge that you can trace your straight lines with. Almost forgot that. Now, if you have a Sharpie, permanent black marker, black colored pencil, something that's not going to smear when you color over it or by it, then you may want to do your tracing first, like my tracing is done here. However, if you have something like a water-based marker, a black crayon, something that will smear if you color over it, then you're probably going to want to do your coloring first, and then after that, go ahead and do the tracing. Either way will work, but that's something you need to know, so you don't get a bunch of smears in your drawing. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you how I colored mine and explain what you need to do on yours. After I traced all the details on mine, I added colors to it. At the top, I used warm colors. Warm for the sun. So everything in here I did with warm colors. Now some of you may have never heard of warm colors before. Think about what colors you would think about with warm. Think about the sun. What color is the sun? No, the sun is different color, different times of day. But the warm colors that you see associated with the sun are your reds, your oranges, and your yellows. Now, because the camera and the light on the camera is not picking this up very good, I'm trying to move around to show you everything that's colored on it. Actually, maybe back here a little bit further. Yeah, that's good. And you'll be able to see that in my examples too, or my examples with the lesson that you can look at on your computer. Okay. Now, the cool colors are going to go into my moon one. When you think of cool, think of night, think of water, think of ice and snow even. Your cool colors are pretty much your blues, your violets, and your greens. Now what I want to show you on this is a few things, or tell you about a few things on this. I'm not going to make you sit and watch me color because you don't need to do that. But I want you to notice something. Everything I traced here that had straight lines, that would be the straight lines, the broken lines. Let's see if there's any other ones. Oh, and the dotted lines I used the ruler for too. Make sure when you're tracing them, you use the ruler again so they're nice and straight. I'll be able to tell whether you did or didn't. And I know some of you still have problems possibly getting the ruler not to move on you. Remember, when you're tracing, you need to hold that ruler down so it doesn't move with the hand that you don't draw with. And then with the hand you draw with, you need to put that ruler right up against the lines you're drawing. Or I'm sorry, right up against the ruler. Right up against the ruler so you get nice straight lines. If you don't put it right up against the ruler, you're not going to get straight lines. So that's important. Every single pencil line you have on here needs to be traced, including your hands. Everything needs to be traced in black. Back to the coloring part here. Coloring part, what you need to do is you need to make sure when you're doing this, you need to make sure every time you change lines, you change colors. For instance, if you look at the zigzag one here, I went from blue, green, light blue, green, light blue. I went in a pattern as far as that goes. But I didn't do two blues next to each other. I didn't do two greens next to each other. They have to be different colors. Same thing over here, where I did these spirals. The spirals were blue all the way through, but the background for the spirals is violet. Over here on these squiggly lines, or squiggle lines, same thing. I did light green and I did violet, and I rotated them back and forth, back and forth. There are going to be some that you're going to color all the way through. For instance, the broken lines part, you can, because the lines don't really close or anything, you can go one solid color with it. I used a darker red on this one. I didn't use regular red, it was a darker red with a little hint of brown in it. It's called mahogany. Same thing with this the dotted lines. The dotted lines, you just color one color too. I used yellow all the way through on the dotted lines. Few warm colors that I have. I have like a yellow-orange, which is a combination of yellow and orange. I have regular orange, regular red. I have the darker red. I had an orange-red color. There's a mixture of orange and red, regular yellow, and pink. All of those are the warm colors. Now the cool colors, as I mentioned, you have your blue, your green, and your violet. But I also had a light green and a light blue. And I added some white to this light blue over here to make it real light for the moon. Now, this project is going to be due next Monday, October 5th. So please have it finished by then. Have your parents either send it to my Schoology message or they can email me too. For those of you who still have not turned in your name cards, they were due Friday. So if you haven't got them into me yet, please do. I still will take late work, but I need to have it so I could put it in the grade book that you did your work. And I know sometimes when you have other lessons such as math, reading, writing, sometimes you don't have time to do, you might not have time to do my projects, and I understand that. But when you get some time, please get them into me because I do need to put them down for some grades. Everybody have a terrific week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.